Auto insurance can all seem the same until it comes time to use it. So don't get stuck paying more for less coverage. Switch to USAA Auto Insurance and you could start saving money in no time. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply.
They go to that apartment building, don't they?
Yeah.
Like someone's just burning their toast or some shit.
I had this. Are we rolling? So as we start off the pod, you can hear fire trucks going. If you listen to the last pod, you would have been able to hear fire trucks going. There is an apartment block across the road, and I swear to God, twice a day for the last week, fire trucks have been called out. And I can't imagine what the fines are on the body corporate of that apartment building. Because is it like $4,000 every call out for them to come?
Each truck is
like $2,500 or something, right?
Yeah.
So like there's $5,000 across the road right now. And that's been happening twice a day for the last like week.
And it happened just like the podcast we did like an hour ago. So, you know.
They're just hearing our hot takes and just sending them over.
Someone's burning the toast.
What a podcast we just had.
We had a cup. I want to join you.
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
yeah.
Grab this cup and fill it up.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good segue to bring in. We said a couple of weeks ago on the pod, roasters, send in your coffee. We want to try them. And we've had a great response. We've got a whole bunch of coffee lined up, ready to go. This first one that we have is from Redeemer. We've got an Ecuadorian Vinca Natural Sidra. Notes of raspberry, mandarin, floral. They also sent us a geisha, which
Fire style.
sorry, we finished that one off, and that's done. And they sent us some chupa chups to go alongside it with the flavor profiles. A bit of watermelon, a bit of raspberry chupa chup. That was great.
That's a touch of finesse right there.
So let's have a taste of this coffee live.
Let's give it a go.
Everyone's got a little bit here.
Yes.
Cheers, baby. Cheers.
And claim from over here.
That's pretty yummy.
Natural coffee from Ecuador is always a unique experience.
Yeah.
I always find that coffee from Ecuador is really, really textural. Oh, we should have asked Sasha about it. He buys a lot of good. He's obsessed with Ecuador coffee. But this is excellent.
You know
really
what's
fruity.
really interesting? The first time, so we probably brewed this up maybe a week or two ago, but we had some other podcasts where we couldn't do it. I was getting a lot of red fruit in those last times. This time, it feels a lot more like citrus forward with that mandarin and maybe even like a little bit of watermelon.
Well, you see, I suspect it's quite a light roast profile. And when it's a light roast profile, a little bit of age does it really good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and we've spoken about this on the pod before, right? Like age is good for your coffee. You don't always want it fresh. In fact, you don't want it too fresh at all. So
now I've got a little bit of APAX Labs here that was left over. So this is the lilac one. This is going to add that floral notes, make it silky. So what do you reckon fill me up a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? One drop for this amount?
Are you having some more?
Yeah, of course.
So for those who don't know, APAX Lab, just one drop, do you reckon?
I'll give it 2.
Give it 2. APAX Labs is kind of these concentrated minerals to add to your coffee, kind of like a seasoning. And it doesn't change the flavor of the coffee. It just kind of emphasizes like seasoning an egg kind of thing.
You've got the nanos there as well. Because you can buy the bigger lot, and that's obviously a smaller.
Yeah, these are like the little ones. So you can get smaller ones if you're at home. They're not paid sponsors. They should be. They should be. But that's a free little shout out there.
I love that. I think there's something so fun about, I love that we just tried it without it and then we got to try it again. It just gives you a completely different experience. That's also a beautiful segue to move into your hot take from today.
Oh, fuck. What the hell was going on there?
I reckon we had the most polarizing editions of hot takes. I reckon, Kirky, you brought in one of the most unique experiences I've ever experienced.
Not a hot take, a warm embrace.
A warm embrace.
I'm so used to Kirk setting me up. So for the context for those who are listening and why it might have sounded so disjointed at the end and so confusing, it was double skepticism for us. So at the start of the podcast, Sasha arrives, Liam's there, Kirk goes, Rohan, get out of here. Like, I've got a hot take and you can't hear it. It's got to be a surprise. So I'm instantly terrified. So then he comes in, he starts doing this hug thing about how you should put your hand on the back of the head. And in the reground episode, I got flicked in the nuts.
Which we've all heard and listened to, yeah.
And so I'm just skeptical. But then the funny thing was, my skepticism then made Kirk scared and skeptical. And he thought I'd prepared a counterattack, when in reality, the only thing Kirk wanted was to hug everyone here and then have me ask for a hug and him to go, everyone go, no, we're not doing it. That was your elaborate
that was
joke.
the plan. I was trying to chess play you, but
And instead, everyone that's listening to that would have just been like, what is happening here?
the chemistry is off. But it was
and Sasha didn't want to do it at the start. He said after the pod. Did he say that on the pod? He was like, I didn't want to do it.
I explained to him before the pod what the hug was. He's like, oh, nah. He was like, I'm good. You know, you guys just do your thing. I was like, come on, man. Anyway.
Yeah, he was worried about his acting.
But then it wasn't acting, but then I gave him a hug and he's like, shit, that actually is nice. And then, like, before the pod, I gave one to Liam, and you were even as well.
I was like, that's lovely.
You converted everyone. And I can say, I recommend everyone at home doing it. It's lovely.
Yeah. It was like
consensual.
But it's just that
don't just hug a stranger and do it.
But it's just, I don't know what it was. That guy, like Jake, my friend, he came in, it was like, you know, I need to do it again in winter. You know what I mean? Like when it's cold, I did that warm embrace, you know. This is not the set of Brokeback Mountain. This is a coffee podcast, believe it or not.
So on that, I will say this coffee by Redeemer, great.
Yep.
I think they're operating out of New South Wales.
Yeah, he's a Central Coast guy. He hasn't revealed his identity to me or anything, but
these guys had some, like, if you're into like elite coffees, like these guys seem like the direction they're going is that high end.
Well, he's just flinging us, you know, Bolivian geisha, Ecuador Sidra. I mean, doesn't
really, really great coffees.
How good's doing this podcast?
Yeah,
sometimes
like,
we're really starting to get the perks.
I mean, this is the sorry. Yeah,
no, I was going to say, who do we have coming up next? You got some bags behind you.
Oh yeah.
Can you let us know who we've got coming up next?
Yep.
That's a reminder for anyone else that if you have some great coffees that you think we should taste, let us know. And again, not asking for freebies here. It's fine if you want to reach out and, you know, money's tight. Let us know. We're happy to buy some of your coffees.
Yeah. And you don't have to send us a whole bag too. Just send us like a little dose. Like just send us a couple grams. We don't
you want to send a bag? I mean, it doesn't go, you know, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I want to like kind of shout out as well to anyone that's been following us on the socials. We are so close to 10,000.
10,000.
We might even be above that by the time everyone hears this. But
we 100% will be.
But we did showcase. This is the roasters of 1645 are coming up.
1645.
And we got some absolute bangers. We've got I can't do this.
Come on, give us a read. I'll come in with this. Call the friend. All right, so we got some Jorge Hernando Suela from Colombia. Wash Chirroso. I'm taking this one myself. Chirroso is good. Chirroso is really good.
We don't want to give away too much. We'll go into this.
We'll go into it properly. Talk about
it. And I'll go into this one. Yeah.
These one. Throw it back.
Jordan, Kobe. All right. I've got a scandal that I need to address in the podcast. We're getting to the point now where I still work at the shop full time. You know, I work at my shop full time.
Which one again?
Project Zero Coffee, 140 King Street. Be there or be square.
Amazing. What's it called again?
Project Zero Coffee.
Project Zero?
Yeah.
Okay.
140 King Street. Anyhow, so I work there, 40, 50 hours a week in the store. And so I would say multiple times a day now, there are podcast listeners coming in and, saying things and stuff like that.
You love that.
And, if you've been watching from day one, like I was getting my hair cut to a point there and now I don't, right? I'm just letting it grow out.
Yeah. You got one big ringlet. It looks like the ultimate, like what did the women use in was it like the 50s where they put those little circular tubes in their hair?
I have been accused of getting a perm.
I might have to agree. I don't know if that's natural.
You would agree with that. But
I don't know if that's natural.
Him with little rollers.
He's getting a steam wand and just wrapping it around the steam wand.
I'm not that sophisticated. All right? This is not a fucking perm. This is not a perm. This is a real curl. Have you guys ever seen Starsky and Hutch with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson?
Yeah.
It's not a perm. Touch it.
That's a perm.
It's not a perm. It is
Why
not
is
a perm.
there just one ringlet though?
Well, I think there's a second form.
No, there's just one hardcore ringlet.
I'll come over a little bit.
Get into the camera though.
All right, so go on a little bit. You can boing it.
In the frame.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I'm getting that hug now.
Oh, the recoil on that.
Have another one. Have another. Bang. This is nice. Maybe I just stay over here.
Oh wait, should I put my hand behind your head?
Oh yeah. That was good.
Look, you know what? I mean, not now. Actually, I've trimmed the curls back.
Real fluffy at the moment.
Yeah,
it's less ringlety.
I know.
You're a little Labrador.
You're looking a bit
little poodle.
He's looking a bit Nick Jonas over there.
I'll take it. Our friends of the pod.
Friend of the pod, but also liked a video from
oh my God, yes.
Subminimal the other day. He's watching the subscale.
Okay.
We love it.
All right, we like that.
One of our
But
brand.
what's the guy that, like, have you ever noticed as well? It's always the bald guys that accuse you of doing this. It's like, all right, you're not one to be throwing accusations out. You've got no hair, right?
Yeah.
Don't be commenting on the guys that have the hair. Also, I see a lot of you guys taking trips to Turkey. You post those pictures of the balloons when you're up in the balloons across those cliffs. We know what you're going for.
Oh, we know what you're
going for.
Question. This is just, generalization. But why are bald dudes always so jacked? Are they insecure about the lack of hair, so then they just get like mega ripped to like compensate? Do you notice that? Do you feel like bald guys are always really jacked?
Or maybe it's like the lack of hair that makes them appear bigger.
Or
appear bigger.
is it to get that jacked, they need to take things that make them lose their hair? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about not the middle-aged bald where you have the full horseshoe going around the back. I'm talking about
John
the
Howard,
young bald guy.
The fire tuck.
That's just like they're jacked and they have the and they've always, it's either the mustache or the beard. When you got no hair up top, you got to have the counterpart to balance it out.
But you ever notice how a lot of bald guys as well, they've got like hairy shoulders and stuff like that? Like maybe the hair energy is just diverted to other sections of the body and not the head.
Because testosterone
I haven't got.
rolling hard.
I mean, if I'm to give you a bit of skin here, I haven't got a whole lot of hair on the upper torso. No. If you watch the video where we did the ethnicity reveal for me, you would notice.
We can tell you're not Italian just by this, mate.
Yeah,
Come on.
I mean, yeah. So like, I'm not a hairy guy. So maybe this sort of strengthens my theory. It's all going up there.
Wait, what is this podcast again?
It's just coffee.
Oh, a coffee podcast. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. Sasha, what a get. What an absolute get.
Years in the making.
Yeah.
Literally, like, obviously, the way we met was doing the previous podcast that I had, and we decided to join forces. That's how well it went. But I've been asking Sasha for a long time. And my approach with booking the guests is I've booked almost all the guests for this podcast. It's just...
can I say, not like from lack of... Anytime I tried to bring up a guest, Kirk was just like, stop putting in guests. I just need to lock him in. I'm like, all right, do it.
So, but there's... Unless you say no and I want you to come on, I will keep asking.
Yeah.
And that's like, there's the two toughest ones to get in this podcast history, my history, have been Sasha and Fleur Stud, just because timing has not aligned. There was a pandemic and all that sort of stuff.
Well, the next one has to be Hoff Daddy.
Do we go for it?
We've got to get Hoff Daddy on the pod.
Hands down.
We're coming. What episode are we up to?
Internally or externally?
I don't know what that means. I mean, if I'm looking on
43.
Spotify and it says a number next
43.
to the pod, 43. 50 is probably too close.
100.
100. Get Hoff Daddy on the 100. We've said it before, but I reckon that's
Don't hassle the Hoff.
We'll hassle the Hoff. I reckon we can get that done. But yeah, amazing get, done so much. What a wild story. If you haven't seen the Coffee Man, it's on YouTube. Just go watch it.
So great.
It's great for three things. Learning about Sasha, what a wild past, being in war-torn countries, moving his whole life over. And you often see, I feel like, people who go through that kind of adversity, just have this like passion and this push, and they take, like, he just went out and bought a coffee farm. He just went out and bought a coffee shop. Like, he just made these decisions because they felt right in his gut, and, he pushed forward with them. So you can learn a lot about his kind of early beginnings. You learn a lot about coffee, farming, origins, processing, how it all comes to life. And then you see the last half is pretty much just the World Barista Championship and the pain, the work, the effort, the anxiety that goes into those competitions and the level of craft. Because like when you go to these competitions and you see how much time and thought is put in by these baristas, it's outstanding. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And watching him, spoiler alert, win, is a really special moment. I was like,
yeah,
on the edge of my seat watching. The goosebumps were there.
God damn, yeah, and he's an incredible person. And I think telling that first part of his story is something that I really wanted to reflect on, because I feel like it's probably glossed over a bit now. Like the Coffee Man documentary is not as mainstream as it was when it first got released. Of course, that's natural. It's been out for a few years now. So it was good to remind the listener of that story and and to reinforce his character. And it kind of got me thinking, like, and you mentioned the challenges that he faced there and how he kind of just deals with them. Maybe everything just seems small to him compared to that. Once they've been through something like that, it's like, all right, well, the rest of the things in life are small. As long as I've got my family, he had foregone his career in athletics, in being handball, to be a better family man because he was committed to his wife.
That part I don't feel like was in the doco. And when he was like saying that, I was like, what, like those moments in your life, like those decisions are pivotal moments. And some people, negative people, would look at a moment like that if they had to give up their career of wanting to be a handball, like Olympian or whatever it is. And they would look back at it like, that's where my life went downhill. That's where it all went wrong. It's like, no, these pivotal moments you need to take on. And he went out there and he followed something else with passion and he pushed it and he learned. And now you probably can't even look back at the idea of being a handball player. You're now a world barista champion running one of the best green companies, cafes, and coffee product companies.
I got a question for you, Rohan.
Yeah.
What's the biggest failure, like sense of failure you've had? Like, and that's not to say that it, like, I'm looking at it as your failure. What do you consider like the biggest thing where you kind of felt like you failed? That you're comfortable revealing?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's so funny. I mean, I look at my life and compared to, this isn't his failures, but his like adversity and the things that he faced, I'm like, God, what a privileged life that I've kind of had. It's funny. This is like, when I was a child, I was a competitive skier. I was snow skiing since the age I was 2 years old. Would race over in the States every winter, would race every weekend. I'd finish school on a Friday, drive up to the mountain, drive up in the morning, 6 till 5, ski. And I remember when I was like 14, I was in the national championship and I'd been working up to get to this moment. It's the first time I'm going there. First run, I go down, you do 2 runs, and I'm coming second. And this guy that always beats me, Hans Grubus, was number 1. And on the second run, I was the third last skier. I went down, and as I went through the finish line, my whole family, everyone from the school, like ran out, jumped on me. They jumped. They said, "You beat him. You did it. You're number 1. You're number 1. You're number 1." And then out of the last 3 skiers that went down, I got beaten by 0.1 and 0.01 of a second to come third after all that. And it's such a stupid thing because I'm just a kid. But when I think back to that moment, I still get a sinking drop in my stomach just to be like, oh, I just didn't make it. So tying it into Sasha's sports kind of thing, that was a huge letdown there.
Yeah.
And probably another one that I didn't follow through on. I did a lot of acting, a lot of musical theater as a young kid. Loved that. First year out, I did a 1-year course of school. I did a 1-year course with NIDA. Was pursuing that, and I always wanted to be an actor. But in that year after, I was like, I'll go to university and keep acting, and I'll work in hospitality and whatever. And as I said with the coffee, when I put myself in something, I can't half-heartedly do it. So I went into university and I wanted to be the best at that. When I worked in coffee, I wanted to be not the best out of everyone, the best that I could be in that. And so I think that maybe that's something always that, you look back on, you're like, oh, I wonder what that, I didn't give the acting the chance or the performance the chance that I would have wanted to, Yeah.
I feel like that question though, if we're going to bring it back to Sasha, is like, it didn't feel like he saw it as a failure or that he missed out or anything like that. Like even when he was talking about his first time in the 2000 Olympics and he got benched for that first game, he's like, later on, I played some of the best games I ever did, but I came at it with more maturity and patience. He'd learnt from it. And the same thing, the way I wrote down, like one of my main things to chat about with you is like, he's so romantic. Like, from the doc, he named that first farm after his wife. And he, even talking, he's like, I chose her, I met her and I chose her. I gained that. Yeah. There was nothing about it.
But I love that way in which he kind of he's reinvented himself a couple times. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he's went
lived lives.
Yeah, and in the spirit of giving, like I think I went through a period during COVID where I had Sub-Zero coffee, and it wasn't all entirely my fault. So when I had booked a bunch of flights and accommodation for me and a guy called Connor Tigwell to go to Jakarta to do a pop-up with that before COVID, just a few weeks before COVID started. And then I also, I had booked for 3 countries, Korea, Jakarta, Indonesia rather, and Singapore. So we're going to go, paid all of it and spent it was probably close to, including getting a bunch of other stock and stuff, it was close to 15 grand. And as soon as the border shut, I lost everything. Just in one, I lost everything. And then...
Was this trip for, sorry, I missed the...
So I used to have a frozen coffee pop-up. So
you were going for coffee and everything?
Yeah.
To do a pop-up in Jakarta.
So we were going to have a pop-up coffee store and I spent so much time doing it. And obviously everyone, a lot of people in the same boat, but it was just in one stroke, I lost all that money. And then the lockdown started because I thought, fuck it, I'm going to pivot. I'll try something else. And then the lockdown started and then... that was just another punch that you couldn't, it was just wounding. And then, eventually I had to stop and you would have heard on the podcast with Caleb Holstein, I became so fed up with coffee. I hated it. And
really?
I moved back to New South Wales, near Sydney. And I was working at a chlorine factory because I couldn't do anything else. There was lockdowns there as well. And I had to rebuild my life. And, I think going into that coffee shop and having that conversation with Caleb when he was roasting, I was like, I knew who he was and he didn't know who I was. I was like, fuck, I'm just going to say something. I didn't identify myself to these people at all. This is Legend Coffee in Gosford. And it was just, I was so done with it. I decided I wanted to be an economist. So I started studying economics and then something happened. I got back. I just got the sniff of it again. I just felt a part of me was missing. And then before I closed up the little pop-up store I had during the first lockdowns, I met Rohan Shea, who's now my business partner. And he left his wife and kids in the car for about 2 hours while he and I spoke about coffee. And
love. They're like, you can do this. I trust you.
Well, I don't know if this is a positive thing or a negative thing.
They were dead asleep. And we were just chatting for 2 hours.
Yeah, I would be too if I was left in the car for 2 hours. You act like it's not like he left them asleep. They fell asleep because they were left in a car for 2 hours.
They were. And we got to chatting about how, I think takeaway coffee's not done right and how I think there's so much tech that can be implemented in coffee and grown. And Johan's got a tech background. Fast forward a few years, we've now opened Project Zero Coffee together. He's my business partner. And, I think the lesson in that
twists and turns, man.
Don't let shit get you down.
Yeah.
It feels you will recover eventually. I'm still paying off Sub-Zero Coffee really in a way. The effects of it linger on and eventually I'll be cleared of it. But
you brought up in the pod actually, there was I'm not sure if he was actually an honor coffee roaster, but the someone's barista competition routine.
Yeah.
And it really inspired you. Was that before?
That probably started Sub-Zero Coffee for me.
Amazing. But then you lost it, but then you found it again.
Yeah. I'm in this for life. I'm in coffee for life. And I talk to people that come to the shop all the time and I'm like, honestly, I couldn't think of myself doing something different. This is fucking awesome. I go to bed excited for work each day and if that's your mindset, effectively you've made it.
When I was working 3 bags full, then I was working top paddock, and then I started my job in marketing and media and stuff. And I loved it so much that I was like, oh, can I just come and do this Saturday shift? And the other baristas hated me because the owner, Tolman, just loved me there. So he was like, oh, if we can take you in, of course, please, whatever you need. He's like, don't do the open close. Just come in, make coffee and go. So everyone else would have to set up the shop, do whatever. I'd come in at 9, whip out some lattes, then 2 o'clock would hit as everyone's starting to refill the milk fridges. And I'm like, peace out, guys.
Nepo barista.
Nepo barista. That's what they call it. That's a good Instagram handle, the Nepo barista.
Maybe we can make a side character.
Also, question, what's ever happened? So, you did Kirk the barista, but then you're posting on Cap and Kirk. What's happening with the socials, mate?
I burnt out at the end of last year.
But you're still posting socials. You're just posting them to Cap and Kirk.
Yeah. But I think I'm just gonna commit to doing Kirk the barista in the next couple of months, and we got some content planned for when we go to Dubai, of course.
Yep.
And then probably just switch my Cap and Kirk account to private. So
private. So I can get all those saucy photos, all those thirst traps from Kirk.
Exactly.
Kirk trap.
Talk about my UFC, my football, whatever else I want to go on a rant about.
Yeah.
And then
so many rants. Actually, no, I'm good. Don't worry about adding me to that close friends list. Yeah. Guys, we've had some great guests coming on the pod. I hope you've all enjoyed them. Kirk, thank you for helping organize some of those. Liam has been going overdrive at the moment working on this pod. A lot of work behind the scenes. So I want to thank both of you boys. Very good stuff.
Actually, before we shut down, I feel like you just told me your timeline with Project Zero and making pivots in your life and doing these things and talking about acting and all these things. And I guess my life feels a little bit that way, but I'm just at that step one. I think this podcast kind of feels that way for me.
This could be your pivotal moment.
It is. It feels that way. I feel very, blessed and excited to do it.
And what? Yeah. I think we've all we're starting to play our roles better on this podcast. And I like being open on the coffee break about kind of that. And, I'm offloading a bit of some of the drafting of the questions to Molly. And that will be better because I simply do not have the time to do it all. And you're killing it with the reels, and we're growing as a podcast, and we're getting to that rate of acceleration where this bitch is growing. So
Liam, there's no one who the amount of times where Liam will be like, so I was working on the pod last night. It was 5 p.m. Then all of a sudden, it's 6 a.m. This dude has come in and he's done probably about 8 all-nighters now because of this podcast, making sure that it goes out on time because we have a schedule of when it gets posted. The other night, he thinks he's fine. He gets home, doesn't have the audio, drives all the way at 11 o'clock at night back here from, I won't say where, but far away, sitting out connected to our Wi-Fi in the back alley, downloading off the system the podcast so that he can do it. Then he gets home and then there's something in there that he needed to bleep out. And anyway, next thing he knows, what time in the morning was it by the time you finished?
I don't know, maybe 2 or 3.
2 or 3 in the morning. So thank you all for all the effort that you put in. Thank you for all the effort you guys put in listening, putting in your time, dedicating your life to listen to 3 ding-dongs yammer on about coffee. If you want to have a word with us, say a little something. We've been getting a lot of write-ins, a lot of nice stuff. We had our little emotional coffee break the other week. A lot of really beautiful messages coming in from that. So thank you all for reaching out. If you want to reach us, it's hello@itsjustcoffeepod.com. You can also find us on all of the socials. It's Just Coffee. And leave us a nice review. This is what I'm pushing at the moment. Leave us a nice review. And if you love the pod, tell a friend.
Tell 2 friends.
3. Tell 4. Tell more.
Tell more.
Tell them all.
Sorry.
So you said so I thought you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, pardon me.
Well, that's the end of the episode of the great there. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next week.
Any Hauser.
Coffee break done. See you next week.